In 2018, I read a most interesting book about family members around the world, entitled Sharing the Wisdom of Time by Pope Francis and his friends. It has beautiful pictures of people all around the globe and remarkable telling stories of their profound wisdom. Pope Francis believed that God wanted him through prayer to make an alliance between the young people and the old people. Pope Francis, like a grandfather with great wisdom, writes, "The elderly have wisdom. They have been entrusted with a great responsibility to transmit their life experiences, their family history, the history of a community and of a people. Elders and grandparents from over 30 countries share their wisdom carved through lifetime of experiences, and each story is a testimony to the power of faith, perseverance, human resilience, and love." The chapters in this beautiful book, which offers pictures and places of people all around the globe, make up the human family and God's family. The book interviews people ranging in age from their 60s to their 90s. Each of them muse over the meaning of their lives as they relate to work and struggle, love, death, hope, and they share pivotal moments and lessons that they have learned from the journey of life. This book interviews both the poor and the wealthy, the educated and the unskilled. Some of the participants worked as farmers, others as historians, teachers, recyclers, priests, pastors, chefs, nurses, writers, film directors, and various other occupations. They came from many different countries, such as Kenya and Belgium, the United States and Norway, Mexico and Australia, Syria and Slovenia, Spain and India, Italy and Poland. Pope Francis believes that the older people are the reservoirs of wisdom and calls elderly people the memory keepers. The Pope exhorts the elders to pass on the faith that they believe, and he believes it's necessary to keep an open intergenerational communications in order to bring generations together. On the day of Pope Francis's priestly ordination, the book tells us that his grandmother Rosa wrote him a letter that he keeps tucked inside his breviary, his prayer book, and he reads it often. The book highlights that there was an inner strength available to each and every one of us that comes from God. At UPMC Mercy Hospital, where I serve as chaplain, our chapel is called the Holy Family Chapel. There is a beautiful replica of the Holy Family of Nazareth, of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the model of all Christian families. Family life is rooted in the unconditional love of God, as witnessed by the Holy Family of Nazareth. Here we find the first domestic church, a loving family devoted to God and devoted to each other. Saint Pope John Paul II said, "Our God in his deepest mystery is not solitude, but a family. For he has within himself fatherhood, sonship, and the essence of family, which is love. That love is the divine family, is the Holy Spirit." The family is a school of prayer, a school of service, a school of discipline, a school of formation, and above all, a family is a school of love. We learn to love and to be loved, to receive love and to share love, for that is our highest call. The wisdom of Solomon today in the book of Sirach tells us that part of a real holy family is to honor your father, accept your mother's authority, Pray for everyone in the family. Plus, have respect, obedience, appreciation, consideration, and kindness for each and for all. St. Paul writes in his letter to the Colossians, have heartfelt compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And Paul goes on to encourage us to bear with one another, forgive one another, and put on love, the bond of perfection. Can you imagine Mary and Joseph looking for their 12-year-old son frantically in the capital city of Jerusalem? Imagine their fear, their anguish, their distress, their anxiety in their frantic search for the child. Can you think of anything worse than losing a child? What fright that must have been. They had been to Jerusalem for the feast of the Passover, but on their return, they noticed their child was no longer in their midst. They discovered their child then in the temple, talking with the elders, drinking in their wisdom, asking questions and listening to them. Naturally, the parents are relieved. Family life at times can be difficult and trying. Family life can be messy, punctuated with misunderstandings, miscommunications, disagreements, and constant challenges. But our families are also places of sanctification, reconciliation, unity, grace, and love. May we always be there for each other, in life's joys and sorrows, in good times and in bad times, at the weddings and the funerals. The importance of family is the bulwark of our Christian teaching from the very beginning. The family is the womb from which all vocations are born. Whether married life, called to single life, priestly, or religious life, Jesus spent his hidden years deeply rooted in day-to-day life with his family in Nazareth. There he learned to love and serve and pray. Thank God for the gift of our family, and each member in the family is a blessing and grace from God. Lord, help us to honor and to love our family. Every biblical family exists not just for the family members solely, but for God's purposes and God's plan and God's will. Our life and our family is not just about us, but God's great design. The greatest gift that we can give to one another is to respect and nurture the freedom to become all that God has uniquely created us to be. The church celebrates this feast of the Holy Family because it's interested in the growth that each family becomes holy. By letting go of each other and giving one over to God, then we will be happier and healthier and holier as we gather at this Eucharistic table as God's family to celebrate the Eucharist, our shared meal, at a shared table. It is the greatest sign of our love for our family to grow in God's grace and devotion.